Does that work for everybody? And I'm going to ask Mariah to take roll for us.
Keith Becker,
Present.
Sarah Dorman,
I'm here.
Michelle Eisenberg, I didn't see her get on. Susan Parrington,
Present. Present.
Russ, thank you. Russ Randall,
I'm here.
Rachel Simaconda.
I'm here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mariah. And I will go ahead and read the protocol for participants. All commissioners should have their microphones on mute to keep the background noise out of the chat room. The chair of the meeting will ensure that everyone has an opportunity to speak if they would like. Commissioners should use the chat function to inform the chair they would like to make a statement. And Mariah and Rachel will help me see what's in the chat. And the chair will announce the commissioners to speak in the order in which they appear in the chat. And for this commission meeting, we appreciate if you turn on your cameras while speaking, and that will help with access. Hi, Michelle. Welcome to the meeting. And if we take a look at the agenda, you can see we have a very full agenda today. I would like to make a correction to the agenda, and that would just be that under youth liaison, it is listed as Joseph Smith as our youth liaison. That would actually be Joseph Spence. And then next up, we should approve our minutes from our previous 3 meetings. So we appreciate, Mariah, for you taking those minutes and getting them sent out to us. And I think we have all had a chance to review the minutes. So let's approve our minutes one by one. So is there a motion to approve the minutes from our work session, October 18th?
I will pass a motion.
And is there a second of that motion?
I'll second.
I will second it.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the minutes from the October 18th meeting. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Do we have any opposed? That motion has passed unanimously. Second meeting minutes for us to approve is from our commission meeting on October 25th. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
I so
I
move.
move.
It has been moved by Keith Becker and seconded by
Yep, I'll second it.
by Sarah Gorman.
Sarah.
Any discussion regarding those minutes? All those in favor of approving the minutes from the October 25th meeting, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Do we have any
Aye.
in opposition to that? And that motion is passed unanimously. And the third minutes that we would like to approve is from our meeting on November 15th. And I do have a correction to those minutes before we entertain a motion. And that is, again, the youth liaison that we had at that meeting is Joseph Spence. It is not Joseph Smith. So do I have a motion to approve those minutes with that correction that I just made?
I move to approve the minutes from the
That
work
was
session
moved.
on November
I
15th.
will second.
Well done, folks. So Sarah moved to approve it and Keith seconded that. Is there any discussion regarding the motion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Any opposition to that motion?
Aye. Not opposition. I approve.
That motion too was approved unanimously. And thank you folks for working through that quickly. Next up, do we have any informational items from members of the CIAL? the only item that I have is that there is commission training that Ms. Stacy Fobar has graciously agreed to provide. And I believe that will be happening on December 4th at 5:30 p.m. And that can be attended in person or via Zoom. And I said that correct, right, Stacy?
Yes, it is December 4th. Yes, December 4th at 5:30 p.m. in council chambers, or you can attend via Microsoft Teams.
And Microsoft Teams, not Zoom, thank you. And I do plan on attending that. And I would encourage all our other commissioners to attend as well, if it works for your schedule to do so. And Stacy, we appreciate you providing that training for us. Okay, next up, do we have any information in the way of an update from our staff liaison, Mariah or Lisa?
No, we don't have any updates today.
Thank you for that, Mariah. And my only update would be, Mariah, thank you for doing such a good job getting out all our information.
Thanks.
I know it can be kind of difficult when you're just trying to do your own job, and then you have all these people kind of interrupting you to get information out, but thank you for doing that. And then, as I said, our transportation liaison, Estella, was feeling under the weather, so she will not be here today. But I can report on some of the stuff that's going on with regards to transportation in the city. I was at the Mobility Planning Council meeting last week, and then this week I was at the Wheelchair Access Vehicle Subcommittee. And I can report that the Wheelchair Access Vehicle Subcommittee is still exploring avenues for increasing access to wheelchair access vans. So that's still kind of a work in progress. The Mobility Planning Council reviewed and updated the Coordinated Public Transportation Plan Strategy Sheet, kind of a progress sheet to see what kind of improvements have made with regards to transportation for folks who have mobility challenges. The council also heard from Dave Wessel with the Metro Plan, and then the council also heard from Hojoni about the transportation that Hojoni provides for their clients. I do not see Joseph Spence with us today. Joseph, are you with us? I don't think so. And then one other thing is you can see on the agenda that we still do have one youth liaison position vacant. So we should be kind of eyes and ears listening for folks who might be interested in doing that. Next up is time for our public participation. Do we have members of the public here who would like to present to us today?
I believe Jeremy asked a comment.
Okay, Jeremy, welcome to the meeting.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, Commissioners. Jeremy DeGator, Capital Improvements Project Manager. I just wanted to give a quick update on the Butler Fourth Improvements Project. As many of you know, we were here last month presenting on what we were about to bring to Council. We did go to Council on November 7th, and we got direction to proceed with what we're calling alternate D, which is the optimized roundabout option. I would like to encourage all of you to stay engaged with the process. This is not the end. This is actually just the beginning. This is the direction we need to move fully into design. So we do anticipate that we will be communicating with this group as we move forward. I was not able to attend the event that occurred out at 4th Street and Route 66 last week, but would like to have a project-specific conversation, whether it's with this commission or if it's a smaller one. If we get a quorum, obviously we'll work within public meeting laws to ensure that we've got that properly posted, but I would like to extend an invite to continue the conversation, particularly with the Butler Fourth project. That the presentation we gave to City Council, the survey results, and the feedback that we got will be posted to the project website and is also obviously available through the City Council agenda and the streaming videos for the City Council meetings. So with that, would like to thank you for your participation in the process and look forward to working with you as we continue through. Thank you.
And thank you, Jeremy, for coming to the meeting today and giving us an update. And also, Jeremy, thank you for listening, because you have listened to us with regards to other projects, and we do appreciate that as well. As someone who was at the little meeting, I guess, of the activity at 4th Street and Butler, I will say it was really kind of an interesting learning experience for me. I have never sat in a wheelchair and crossed an intersection that was quite that busy, perhaps especially at the bottom of a hill, and perhaps especially when pickup trucks come down that hill at kind of a high rate of speed, and you just kind of hope that they see you and are going to stop. So it was a good activity for me to be involved with. And then Jeremy, we will coordinate with you to talk some more about the intersection. So, but thank you for being here today.
Russ, I see that Stacy has her hand up, and then I had mine up as well.
Okay, Stacy.
Yes, just a quick reminder that this was a public comment section, which means that open meeting law prevents us from discussing or considering the item at this time.
Thank you for that, Stacy. And also, I was glad to see Jeremy kept his participation to under 5 minutes, because that's kind of the rules there, Jeremy. So good job with that. And then Miss Rachel, you had something to add in?
I do, Jeremy. I just wanted to give you a really big shout out for not only this project, but also the library. You are definitely keeping differently abled citizens in Flagstaff in mind. And I really, really, really do appreciate that. At some point, and Stacey, I don't know if this is breaking open law meetings, but can I encourage you to come to our work sessions the 3rd Wednesday of each month and possibly keep us updated?
Rachel, I would go ahead and ask you to talk about that in item 11. Ask Mariah at that time to ask Jeremy for a date that would work for him to join a meeting.
Great. Thanks, Stacy. Thank you, Jeremy.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Jeremy. Okay, now I see on the agenda that we potentially had Adam Shimoni coming to join us today. Is Adam with us?
Adam was not able to join us today.
Okay, so do we have any other public participation? Okie dokie. So let's move into the report and discussion part of our agenda. And I think we have Stephen Thompson with us today.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Stephen Thompson. I'm a sustainability supervisor for the city of Flagstaff, and I'm here to give a brief overview about the Snow Heroes or Snow Angels program that we are going to be trying to pilot this coming winter. And I'll try and be as brief as possible because I know the agenda is quite full. And if it's okay, I can start sharing my screen.
Excellent. And Stephen, I'm going to ask you to keep it under 10 minutes if you can.
Yep, I'll make it as smooth as possible. Let's see here, Windows. Okay. All right. So we'll just quickly launch into the purpose behind the Snow Heroes initiative and the pilot program is just recognizing that snow and ice covered sidewalks can be hazardous for everyone in the community, no matter what. And this program is really promoting a neighbors helping neighbors mindset within our community and trying to connect people with resources that they need to help keep sidewalks clear throughout the community. And part of that reasoning not only for it's the right thing to do and it's helping community members access what they need to, there's also city code that requires clearing of sidewalks and things like that. So that's just in this presentation as a quick reference. And how we have been approaching this program and this pilot project is by doing a lot of research. And today I'll talk a little bit about the different case studies that myself and others within the city have been researching and using as templates as we were preparing this program. And we'll dive into the different phases, the phased approach that we have been looking at and discussing for this Snow Heroes program, where first year is a pilot year, then the next 2 phases over the next couple of years is really looking at expanding opportunities and access to resources. Just dive right into a few examples from around the country. This Snow Angels shoveling program from Toledo primarily focuses on pairing residents with volunteers. They accept requests throughout the year as long as there's any sort of availability. So residents would sign up and request service throughout the year, and people can do that January 1st through December 31st. And then volunteers are assigned to specific residents or specific community members to help out. In Lincoln, this volunteer program is a little bit different, where they ask volunteers to provide their information. And then that information, their contact info and everything, is posted on an interactive web page. There's a screenshot there of what that looks like. And then it's up to individual residents to use that resource and individually make phone calls or email those volunteers directly. And then it really works out where the volunteers who are closest by to wherever those residents live will agree to come over and assist. And they would supply, and the volunteers supply all their own equipment, shovels, snow blowers, things of that nature. Looking at the Snow Buddies program in Cedar Rapids is similar to Toledo, where you're pairing residents who need assistance with snow heroes, as they even call them. There are limited space. There's limited space available, so they base this program on how many volunteers have signed up. Like, hey, I want to be a snow buddy this year, and from there, they open up an application period for residents to apply, and there's like a limited time frame there and a limited number of spaces based on the volunteers. So if there's only 5 volunteers who have agreed to provide assistance, then that means only 5 residents or so can sign up for it. And I do see that there's a hand up, and if it's okay with everyone, I have space at the end of the presentation for any questions or comments, just so I can make sure I'm being timely with the presentation. Okay.
It was me, Stephen, and I definitely, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. All right, and in the presentation, there's a link to a video that describes the Snow Buddies program, and it's fun to take a look and see how they're sharing information to community members. And a part of the pilot program for the city of Flagstaff would incorporate some sort of video messaging and things of that nature to get the word out to as many different people as possible. Denver Snow Angel programs is more focused on neighborhoods. So it's really focused like, hey, if you live in this neighborhood, sign up in this fashion. And then the community members who live in that neighborhood can reach out either directly to the volunteers themselves individually, or the city will actually message those volunteers in that neighborhood. So if, say, using our town as an example, it would be like, we have individuals who have signed up or organizations who have signed up to volunteer in Sunnyside. That means they'll only get notifications or information relayed to them about community members who need assistance in Sunnyside. Yep, and the city does a lot of communication to volunteers and to residents. And this approach, as I mentioned at the beginning, that we're trying to take here in the city of Flagstaff is 3 phases, where we focus on this year being a pilot year, phase 1, really encouraging neighbors to help neighbors, building different connections, and then at the end of the winter season, looking back and assessing and evaluating successes, failures, rooms for improvement, and then taking that and applying it to the following year for phase 2, which hopefully we have enough capacity to increase services and opportunities and move beyond helping individuals in front of their own homes, but adding on like safe paths to travel or public transit and focusing more along those lines. And then phase 3, expanding it even more, trying to encourage building more of a greater volunteer base, as well as providing the service to more community members and in more locations. And that's the basic approach that we're taking for this program. And I'm going to lay out 3 different options of how we can proceed moving forward. And option 1 is doing more of that direct outreach to community members who have already signed up for other services, like the snow berm removal program that the city has offered for people who have either disabilities or elderly or physically are unable to move the snow berms that have accumulated after snow plow operations, and doing direct outreach to those community members to say, hey, is this a service or something that you would be interested in participating in? And then from there, we'll have a better understanding of how many groups of volunteers and individuals it would likely take to help provide a service to the folks who have opted in. And that the volunteers would agree to provide snow clearing and ice clearing within 24 hours of the last snowfall. And then because this would be the city making direct connections and assigning volunteers to residents or residencies, there would be a higher level of background check requirements. And as I've heard from some of the legal team of the creative horribles, the things that could potentially go wrong. And we want to make sure volunteers and residents are being respected and are as safe as possible, especially if the city is going to be making those direct connections with people. And then there's, of course, always the the liability forms and agreements that people would have to fill out to participate in this program. And then option 2 is more of recruiting volunteers and getting their information and providing that on an accessible website or resource that community members can then reach out to volunteers directly. And this is similar to the one of the other programs that I shared a little bit earlier. And so it's a lot more onus on individual residents to communicate with volunteers and make arrangements, and moving forward from there. And then option 3 is not connecting volunteers with individual residents or other individuals. This is more of an event-based option where myself or others on my team would organize snow removal cleanup days and target those folks, or not target those folks, but go to those residents and areas in the community that have opted in the first stages of this. So those are the 3 main options as we can see it moving forward and being successful for recruiting volunteers and for providing at least some sort of service to address some of the concerns that have been brought up by numerous community members and by this commission to City Council. And just a quick overview of some of the groups that we've been working with and have been part of this conversation so far. So Parks, so PROS, Public Works, Code Compliance, my office of my Sustainability office, and then this commission, of course. And what I'm looking for moving forward, and we do have time for questions, but I want to just kind of lay out the ask from me is more direction from you all as far as other considerations that haven't been included or I haven't addressed yet, which one of those three options I provided is a preferred method from this group, or what sort of combination thereof, and who have I missed in reaching out and collaborating to make this as successful and beneficial as possible. And I hope that was under 10 minutes. I tried to talk fairly fast, and I can open it up for questions now and move forward. So thank you all for your time today.
And thank you, Stephen. Rachel, did you have a question?
I have a couple of questions and then a couple of comments. Stephen, we have a working group that meets every other Friday. And as you know, we're working directly on this specific thing. Further on in our agenda, you'll see Susan Purrington, one of our commissioners, has written letters that we would like to present to council about two specific things that will tie in directly with this. And if you'll stay on long enough, you'll get to see those letters, and then we'll make sure that those get forwarded to you once they're approved by council. But my other one is, my next question is, which option do you prefer?
Yes, thank you for that. If I scroll back, just it's easier for me to see on the screen. Options 1 or 2 are definitely my preferred. Either one to me makes the most sense, and there might be a way that we could combine aspects of both if there's a desire for that from this group. Definitely looking at as many different ways. There are pros and cons to each. In my view, the option number 1, that direct matching, has a lot of good benefits because residents can build rapport with dedicated volunteers who are coming week after week. Hopefully not having to do it week after week. We'll see what the winter looks like. But it does require a lot more staff time to manage and communicate with volunteers and residents. And there are a few more legal and liability issues to work through in that space. So that might take a little more time to move forward and get formalized and approved by all the various folks. Whereas the option 2, the residents connecting, will have fewer or some reduced barriers in that way, or reduced constraints in that way. However, it does open up the challenges of having residents contact volunteers directly, and the responsiveness of said volunteers, and having those resources. So there are pros and cons to both. So either the first 2 options would be what I would like to see, because I think that would be the greatest benefit for community members. And because event stuff can only cover so much at a time.
Thanks, Stephen. So I'll just tell you, in the working group that we have going on, I know that option 3 has been talked about. I'm sorry, neighborhood watches, whichever option that fits into, has been talked about. I personally like option 1. And in as much as this commission is allowed to, we have already talked about how we can best work with you and Reggie and Scott in making sure that our commission is doing whatever we need to do to help you, whether that be making the phone calls. We will have 2 liaisons actually at the end of this meeting that you'll be working with directly. But in as much as we can do, that's what we would like to do. Every single one of us, I believe, on this commission is disabled or actively is participating with someone disabled. And so for us, it's more than just that this is something that we're doing because we're on the commission. It's something from our heart. And so I hope that you'll be working with our liaisons after today, and also with the working group more, so that we can get this kind of more ironed out before the first snow falls, and we can see what we can do to help you. And then my final question to you would be, where do you see this commission in the very short term moving forward with you and all of the other city offices in getting this started?
I think you mentioned quite a bit of that already, is like getting the word out and connecting with different community members to promote the programs and let people know that this is up and coming, and helping navigate some of those processes, and providing any sort of insight, because the more people involved, the more refined this can be, and it can be of greater benefit for community members. So I think working more directly with the working group and with the liaisons, and figuring that out from my end will help move this along and be the best benefit. So thank you for
Okay.
that question.
Thanks, Stephen.
And then I see, I think Michelle has her hand up.
Oh, yes. Hi, Stephen. Thank you. I have a question about, I realize it's the city, but do you know which specific area of the city is going to be managing this and keeping it going for like when the list of volunteers like kind of dwindles? Because it'll probably be gung ho in the beginning, but then, you know, eventually it's going to hit like a stagnant place.
Yeah, and that's one of the challenges with any sort of volunteer program, is when volunteers either leave their commitment or are less gung ho, it is harder to keep that level of service. And that's why with this pilot program year, we're going to be assessing more of that to see, like, all right, did we reach out to volunteers, or did the residents reach out to the volunteers and hear nothing back after the third snowstorm or something along those lines, to really understand the capacity that we need to have? Like, okay, we need to have like 3 or 4 backups for a heavy snow year or something along those lines. And for the pilot year, we will be having a smaller number of residents and volunteers in general. So we'll be starting small scale, maybe 5 to 10 residents who have opted in and requested the service, and seeing like, how can we grow this, and what do we need in order to maintain that higher level of service? Because volunteers will commit to providing the service within 24 hours of any sort of the last snowfall, for the residents that they're committed to. Yeah, it is definitely a challenge and a constraint, and we're trying to learn as much as we can with this new program during the pilot year. So I appreciate that question, Michelle.
Thank you. And I just have one other question, or maybe a comment, and maybe a question. But the other thing that I'm a big fan of is accountability. And for that reason, I like option number 2, because you report the hours to the city of Flagstaff. But one of the things that might be helpful, just something to think about down the line, is offering some sort of incentives for the volunteers too. Like, you know, if they get so many hours, they get something, or I don't know, something to that effect. So just throwing that out there.
And thank you for that, Michelle. Do I see other hands up? And Stephen, thank you for presenting. Thank you for working on coordinating this program. You know, you talked about maybe combination of option 1 and option 2. I like option 2 as well, but I think for some residents, it might be more difficult for them to directly contact volunteers. And that's why I kind of think it might be maybe a combination of option 1 or 2 is what I would think might work the best. I see Sarah has her hand up.
Yes, I think it was in a similar vein as what you were saying, Russ, is and kind of a combination would be great. I like option 2 with that accountability to the city. I think sometimes when you have that direct one-to-one, some people that might burn out a volunteer a little bit more. So like, I think it'd be really neat to have like maybe a set of volunteers in a neighborhood with a certain number of addresses, and they can kind of rotate in, and that kind of build a bigger community within that area. So it's like if somebody goes out of town, there's somebody to kind of fill in, or like kind of neighborhood based instead of like one-to-one base. I don't know if I just missed it in there, or if that's kind of some type of a hybrid in there, but that was just something that popped into my mind.
Thank you for those comments. And I'm taking notes on the side as well. So yeah, I appreciate that description and can definitely be something we look into.
Okay. Do we have anybody else with questions or? Okay, well, thank you so much, Stephen, for coming and sharing with us today. And we will be in communication, right?
Yes, definitely. And thank you all again for taking the time and being advocates for helping community members. And I really appreciate everything that you're doing and look forward to the continued collaboration.
Thanks, Stephen. Okay, do we have Mr. Folk here today?
Actually, he's not, but I will be doing a condensed presentation that he was planning to do on the property care standards for you.
And Reggie, you know, and you can see our time is tight and
Yeah.
we have multiple action items. I'm wondering if it would be okay if we had that presentation at our next work session meeting.
That, and for me would be fine. Not sure how it would work for him.
Okay,
But I could definitely have you
Okay.
recommend that to him. Yeah.
That would be on December 20th.
Okay. Okay.
And thank you for that, Reggie. I see Stacy has her hand up.
I did. Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to note for this particular item that the property care standards are going to be coming back to council for their first read of the ordinance on December 5th. So I just want to make sure that the commission is aware that any input that you might have might not come before it gets put before council.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Stacy. Of course. Reggie, how long do you need to present today?
I've got a small presentation. I can be done in less than 6-7 minutes.
Let's do it then, Reggie. Let's go for it.
All right. Well,
flexibility. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, what I'll do then is share my screen and we'll get to it, and I'll talk extremely fast. I won't give like all the details of the slide because you actually do have the packet. We just have made it a shorter version for this particular meeting.
Sounds good.
Okay. And let's see. All right. So basically, you can see here, there is a slight change in this one. Instead of it being called Building and Property Care Standards, it will be called Property Care Standards.
Reggie, are you sharing your screen? I don't see it.
Uh-oh, I am trying to. Let's see. I hit share up here. No.
Hit from.
Let's see, from beginning?
Yeah, hit from beginning. There it is.
Oh, how about now?
Nope.
Reggie, we do not. Are you selecting the correct window when you're sharing? You should have a red box around it if you are sharing the correct window.
Bring it down to the, not minimize it, but right there. Back to your Teams.
Where's that?
Teams. Down on the bottom. Go back up to see where you're at and see if it is even beginning to share. Okay, now go to share, and then it's going to have to give you the hit again. And you want to hit to the right. That should do it.
There
We've
we
got it,
go.
Reggie.
Now we got it.
See, I have the experts behind me, so that's good. Now I can speed right through it.
Yeah.
I hope. All right, let's see here. Go to the next slide. Next slide. I just popped up here. Why is that not working now?
It's here.
Okay, here we go. This basically just will show you the folks, staff and that have worked on this for a long period of time. You can see Tiffany Antol, myself, Kevin Finsel, Dan Folk, and Mark Rivas. And just a little brief overview of what property maintenance ordinance is. And as you see the bullets, you can kind of read those and see exactly what that is and why we're moving forward. And okay, this was all from a survey that was done with the community to find out what their primary concerns were. And as you can see, the top issue was the accumulation of litter and debris. And then some of the other categories that were very concerning, but not the number one issue. Basically, the property care standards are standards for buildings and land, for improvements in the city code, such as litter, nuisances, abandoned vehicles, and building code. We will continue to work with the League of Neighborhoods and hopefully create a property care program when it's all said and done.
Mhm.
And then this is just telling you about the standards. Basically, it's being done, the purpose and the intent is to improve and maintain the appearance of the city of Flagstaff and improve quality of life by protecting public health, safety, and welfare, and that's for all residential and non-residential buildings and properties. The intent was to provide adequate notice to affected property owners and work with them to resolve the situations and gain compliance in that realm. And then we basically kind of condensed the definitions, and that's not the entire list. There will be some others, but we tried to make them easier to read and easier to understand by using a lot of the Webster's Dictionary's definitions as opposed to some of the long definitions that we currently have listed in our definitions of the code. Again, here, this is, we're working to try to maintain container capacity, keep things free of litter, trash, debris, and garbage. We're focusing a lot on inoperable equipment such as vehicle and appliances so that there are not a lot of the hazards that are on the properties. We're also focusing on occupied properties shall be posted no trespassing or adequately secured to prevent unauthorized use of the property. And here again, we do have, I know the current building codes basically give 180 days, so 6 months to get secured. We're basically looking at changing some of that to temporary security measures may be installed for no more than 90 days. That's still up for discussion, but that's what we're presenting initially. Just want to make sure we prevent the deterioration or the appearance of abandonment. And again, unoccupied buildings will have to be posted no trespassing or be adequately secured. Just so that people know that if there is a natural disaster or something of that nature, we do have the discretion to kind of suspend enforcement so that we're not causing any unnecessary burden to property owners. And this is one of the things that we're truly focusing on right now. So the chapter where we have abandoned vehicles, that's going to be retitled to inoperable vehicles. There'll be some new definitions. They'll identify where those vehicles are permitted to be stored, and then the consistent penalties in the process. And as Stacy mentioned, what I'm glad she did, otherwise we would have missed this. The upcoming dates and the next steps will be the 5th and 19th of December at City Council for the first and second read. And then early 2024, the amendments for the littering, nuisances, and building property standards for guidelines for maintenance will be presented. So that's what we wanted to present to you, a little overview right now. And hopefully I stayed under the time frame.
Reggie, you're awesome, dude. I appreciate it. Do we have any?
Reggie, would you,
Go ahead.
sorry. Reggie, would you forward that to Russ and I so that we can use it in our working group?
Yeah.
Thank
I
you.
know Dan had sent out the full packet, but yeah, I could forward this one.
Thanks, Reggie.
You're welcome.
Do we have any other questions or comments? Seeing none. Reggie, thanks so much for your flexibility and for presenting to us today. You know, obviously, our commission does have concerns about properties and the condition of those properties, because that does affect accessibility for folks. You know, broken sidewalks and broken stairwells and all that kind of stuff is very much a concern for us. So thank you for presenting on that today, Reggie.
You're very welcome.
Next on the agenda, we have item C, ADA sidewalk compliance. And Rachel, do you just kind of want to give a really quick report, kind of an update on where we are at on that?
Just about the sidewalks?
Yes.
So this week, everybody, including most of the city staff, should have received something from Mariah with 3 different things in it. There will be a pamphlet, a sticker, and I can't remember. I have been looking at this thing every day.
A door hanger.
Keith, a door hanger. Thank you. And Keith made these. They are certainly they can be changed as we go along or after legal gets involved in that sort of thing. But Keith just kind of did a rough draft of things. And obviously, if Reggie, if your stuff is voted by city council and it changes things, then we will update that. The biggest thing that I liked in it was that Keith put all the links to the different areas of the city website where people could go and look at safe sidewalks, that sort of thing. But that's where we're at right now as far as working with all of you in getting the next steps done.
Thank you, Rachel. And Keith, you had your hand up?
Yes, I just want to add that anybody who wants to review these things, we had some PDFs sent out kind of at last moment, and those are the best ones to look at because that keeps the formatting that I intended. I noticed when I tried to open some of those Word documents on a different computer than the one I created them on, they kind of got all kind of wonky. So look at the PDFs to see what they're all about and the layout of this, the all 3 documents. That's all I got.
Thank you, Keith. And then next on our agenda, we have code compliance crew discussion with Reggie. And Reggie, we still have you here, right?
Yes, you do.
This is really my item, and this is kind of just my idea. And I don't know, maybe it's not a good idea, but you know, what I would like to see happen with regards to code compliance is, I mean, we do want to help y'all as much as we can. I mean, I see there's 3 of you there, you know, and it's a big city, But my thought is that perhaps we could help with the development of a code compliance crew, a civilian code compliance crew, kind of like how Neighborhood Watch works. And that, you know, 1 or 2 people in each neighborhood who actually walk those neighborhoods could actually, if they view a code compliance violation, they could contact one of our liaisons. But you know, this is just still kind of in a brainstorming stage. But I just thought it would be kind of a cool thing to help set up. So
yeah, you know, we're definitely open to that idea. I did review all the documents that Commissioner Becker had sent out, and I did actually prepare some things of all of the door hangers and things of such that we currently have, which are pretty similar to some of what he did. So I don't think there's really a need to try to reinvent that, because we have numerous items. Because I had trouble sharing my screen, I'm not sure if I could do it. I actually have all those documents ready to share. I can show you what we have so that you can see the language is similar, our approach, and I'd just like to share that because instead of putting a lot of more work into developing things, I can tell you we already have plenty of door hangers, violation stickers, notices. So I would like to share some of that with you real quick.
Okay, for sure. So let's move on then
Okay.
to our action item, because that literally is that is our action item among three. So let's move on to that action item. And Keith, I'm going to let you kind of take the floor real quickly too, to kind of speak to the drafts of the documents that you created.
Go back to the team.
Keith?
Yes, I'm here. So I'm not sure what you want me to say other than what I did to create these documents. When I put my head together on this, I wanted a document that was multimodal, so that it could be used either by code compliance, could be used by the police, could be used by environmental or any volunteers. I wanted something that could be used by anybody, and all three documents are very similar. So they would work in unison with each other if needed. The trifold obviously would be in person with somebody. Door hangers in case you're not in person, there's no contact with person. And of course, the sticker would get stuck on somebody's couch or appliance or whatever it is that's blocking a sidewalk. And these, I don't know if they're similar or not to the city stuff, because these are just warnings. These are letting a person know there's a violation and that they should do something about it if they want to avoid the city coming along with some sort of an actual citation or whatever it may be. I made the front part of them all similar, again, to make it multimodal. And I listed them in kind of a certain order, ones that are probably most likely to be violated throughout the year, and then going to ones that, like snow and all that, that are only going to be done like in the winter time. Those are a little bit further down on the list. And so, I kind of thought through all this to try to figure out how to do that. And then, of course, at the very end, I just placed a few things that I thought was good information for people who, want to know maybe about the sidewalk repair part of it. If they do get a violation along, somebody complains that the sidewalk is like buckling up or whatever. And of course, the snow berm removal, the snow berm assistance that the city had. I also tried, like was mentioned, I included links. I also tried very hard to take all the verbiage in here directly off the city's website, or with the first one in the vehicle blocking sidewalks. I took that off the state's codes. So I tried to include those things. I highlighted a few things that might be good for people to look at and focus on. I threw a few pictures from the city's website, from their Safe Sidewalks page. I would like to see all of this verbiage be on the Safe Sidewalks page as well, including all the links. And I was typing in the text, Reggie, if you could send out copies of those documents that you guys have to the commissioners, so we could take a look at them and see what they look like. I would appreciate that. So
So in order to really talk about this item, we should probably have a motion on the floor since it's an action item. So I'm going to put a motion on the floor to approve for submission to the council the three items as drafted by Commissioner Becker and as distributed by Mariah for our review. So that would be my motion. Do we have a second to that motion? Sarah, is that you wishing to second that motion?
No, I just had more of a question on it. Like, so just
Let's-
since
Let's,
I was gonna
so
say, but
since it's an action item, we should really have a motion on the floor in order to discuss it. So
Okay.
is there a second to my motion?
I can second
I'll
it so we
second the
can have
motion to
discussion.
discuss.
Okay, thank you for that. Go ahead, Sarah.
I was gonna say, since Reggie is saying that a lot of this is duplicated, I'm wondering if it might be prudent to put off like having that action item in a chance to review and compare and see if we need to submit that to the city. don't know
Exactly.
if
I
that's
was
something
going
we
to
could do.
oppose, I was gonna oppose it for that very reason. I think that we need to sit down with Reggie and look at what he did or what they have, and then what Keith has done, and see if we can maybe either marry those things together or keep what Reggie has, and then bring it to an action item next month.
Okay, and that was you, Rachel?
It was, yes, I'm sorry.
Okay, so Rachel,
Yeah.
if you recall, when we presented to the council on October 10th, part of the discussion that the council held with us is they wanted to see increased education and enhanced enforcement. Also, when Chief Musselman met with us last week at the work session, he's kind of ready to use this information now.
Well, he can't use it until city council approves it. And I believe that just looking at what Reggie's been putting up, I believe that what he has, what Reggie currently has, and what Keith has are much the same thing. And I think that we need to all get together and look at what Reggie has, and then let Reggie or whoever and Keith or the working group work around if there's anything that we need to change. See, Reggie has a lot of that stuff as he's scrolling down now. He's got a lot of that stuff done. And so it would be like trying to reinvent the wheel if it's already done.
Right. Is there other discussion on the motion? Keith?
I was muted and everything's getting hard. I don't have any further discussion on that. I've never seen the other documents. And like I say, if the other documents that are going out, like the door hanger, I didn't get to look at that. So if they could send those to the commission, I would love to see them. I'm personally okay with taking this before the city council as is. Because it is kind of an overall thing. It shows it's a warning. It shows that there's all kinds of different things that can be selected, even by a volunteer. And it also kind of shows good informational stuff and places that they can look stuff up otherwise. And so if I ever got a good look at the door hanger and stuff that they have, I could see how that would work with us or not. But I'm okay either way, to be honest with you.
Stacy, either Stacy Fulbar or Stacy Salzberg. What is the motion that we need to table this and wait for a month?
We already have a motion on the floor, Rachel.
So you would need to act on the motion that's on the floor. But I think
Can you repeat the motion, please?
Or the maker of the motion could actually withdraw his motion. And if if the person who seconded the motion agreed, the maker of the motion could withdraw the motion, right?
Correct.
And I think based upon what I am hearing, as the maker of the motion, I am going to withdraw the motion at this point. And I think Sarah was the second for that motion. And Sarah, are you willing to withdraw the motion as well?
Yes, I am willing.
Okay, so at this time, that motion is off the floor because it has been withdrawn. And I think I'm doing that right, Stacy?
Yes. And at this
Yes.
point, if you want, you can stop. There's no other motion that would be needed. Just because you choose not to take action right now, you don't necessarily need a formal motion to postpone.
Excellent. But then, Reggie, we are going to ask for you to come to our work session meeting on
December 20th.
December 20th. And we can kind of spend some time, and that's what those work session meetings are for, really, is for us
What
to
time
spend
is the work session?
12 o'clock.
Okay, yeah, I can be there. I'll put it on my calendar.
And those work sessions really are to do work and to kind of hash through some of this stuff.
Okay,
So, and we appreciate your flexibility with that as well, Reggie.
you're welcome.
So we are going to move on then to action item B, and that is to vote to approve 2 letters to the council. And Sarah or Susan, I'm going to ask you to address that.
Hello, everyone. I will keep this brief. I had drafted 2 letters to the city council to basically ask for 2 different calls to action. One, for the city to reach out to organizations and corporations in the area with a call to action for a day of service or some kind of corporate social responsibility event that would allow those organizations to help the city deal with the snow removal. So back to the presentation from Stephen Thompson earlier, this would be an additional outreach group that would be important to tap into. So that was the letter, the CSR, I believe the city CSR is the letter document name. The other group for Stephen to be aware of would be the NAU Center for Service and Volunteerism. The second letter is to the city council to reach out that particular center to utilize their database of students who do need service hours to be completed for all different purposes, and to create more of a coordinated volunteer effort specifically for snow removal that could be addressing options 1 and 2 that were presented by Stephen Thompson. So those letters, I did get some edits, and they are highlighted in the document for approval today.
And thank you, Susan, and thank you for drafting those letters and really bringing those thoughts to us as a commission. It's nice to have folks who are kind of in the know on the commission, and you are. So, but thank you for bringing those thoughts as well as those letters before us. And I think all of us commissioners have had a chance to review those letters as edited. So I am going to move at this time to approve sending those letters or submitting those letters to the city council, both of those 2 letters.
I will
I'll make a
second that.
motion.
Okay, and I think that was Keith actually with the second. So we have a motion to send those letters to the city council, and it's been seconded. Is there any discussion on that motion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor of submitting those letters to the city council, please say aye.
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 Do we have any opposition to that? That motion has passed unanimously. Thank you, folks. And then next on our agenda is consideration of the appointment of 2 parking liaisons to assist this commission in its work. And I am going to move that number 1, we appoint Rachel Simakanda as our parking liaison to this commission. Do I have a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
And I think that was Susan actually. So Russ moved and Susan seconded that we appoint Rachel Simakanda as our parking liaison to this commission. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor of that motion, please say aye.
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 Do we have any opposition to that motion? That motion passes unanimously. And I am also going to move that we appoint Jamie Martinez as our sidewalk code liaison to this commission. Is there a second to that motion?
I will second.
Thank you, Keith. Is there any discussion regarding that motion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Is there any opposition to that motion? That motion also passes unanimously. Thank you, folks. Okay, it looks like the date of our next two meetings, our next work session meeting is going to be on December 20th. And our next formal meeting, I guess, is going to be on December 27th. Now, do we feel like we will have a problem with a quorum at either one of those meetings?
This is Rachel and I won't have an issue.
I won't have any concern.
Michelle
I'm okay with both meetings.
Keith, excellent. Okay, I think I am too. So those meeting dates are going to stand. Work session will be on December 20th, and our formal meeting will be on December 27th. And then with regards to the agenda for our next two meetings, I guess, well, for our work session at least, I know we're going to have code compliance folks there to talk to us about our literature. And then Rachel, as our parking liaison, and you have been in discussion with Chief Musselman. Well, Chief Musselman want to be at our work session to talk some more about our literature?
I will invite him and I would also invite Scott or Sam.
Right. Sam is like in charge of sanitation or garbage pickup, right?
That's correct.
Okay. So
Environmental.
Thank you, Keith. Environmental services. And code compliance folks there, environmental services, Flag PD. And I'm not sure if we still have Scott on the call. Scott, are you still with us? Maybe not, but we will invite
I believe
Scott.
you had to step away. This is Sam. I actually oversee the city streets and facilities.
Okay, excellent. And Sam, we would love to have you join us at our work session on December 20th.
I'll watch for the invite.
Excellent. And then after that work session, Rachel and I and Mariah will plan the agenda for our meeting on the 27th. But for all you commissioners, is there something else you would like to see on the agenda for our meeting either on the 20th or on the 27th? Okay, I think that's good then. Commissioners, is there anything else we should hear for the good of the cause? Okay, I am going to adjourn the meeting at 1:10, and I apologize for keeping you all late, but we had a full agenda and I think we got a lot done. So thank you for your time.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Yes, and to you all too. Keith, you still there, Keith?